Hi everyone, Niklas Heidloff here. In the fourth OpenNTF development contest, which is sponsored by the German IBM business partner Hedasoft this time, we asked developers to contribute open source projects that show how to use X pages in combination with IBM connections. We'd like to see projects which either extend connections via X pages and iWidgets, or projects with custom X pages applications that utilize and integrate IBM connections. In order to make this as easy as possible for developers, we provide an image in the IBM Smart Cloud that comes with connections and Domino pre-installed and pre-configured. Specifically, what's on this image is Connections 301, Domino 853, Fixspec 3 with the latest extension library from OpenNTF, AT test user accounts, single sign-on pre-configured, and a sample that I put on OpenNTF as open source. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how developers can access and utilize the image. There are several ways for developers to access that image that I will demonstrate now. If you want to use this image, please contact me directly and send me your Node Safe ID so that I can cross-certify it. I will then send you all the information needed to access the image, for example a README file with usernames and passwords, as well as this this token file and some other useful information. In the README file you will then find all the URLs, usernames and passwords, as well as some typical commands, for example commands to start and stop the different servers. And also some of the commands to deploy an iWidget. So then the first way you can access the image is via your web browser, obviously. This is how end users would do it. What you see here is the home page of the image, the Collaboration Quick Start homepage, which is an image that has been available in the IBM Smart Cloud for quite some time. But we have extended it now to run the latest Domino version 853 as well as the extension library from OpenNTF. And I also installed my sample that I put on OpenNTF as open source, which shows how to extend IBM connections using X pages. So from here you can open, for example, communities, and you can log in, let's say as Frank Adams. And this is the sample that I just mentioned that shows how to extend IBM connections using X pages. So what you see here within this rectangle is actually an X page, which you can also open in full page mode, and you can also resize, etc. From here you can also create bookmarks in IBM connections using the X pages social enabler, and all that source code is available on OpenNTF and also live deployed, and you will get access, designer or manager access to the database. So this is how end users would use it. And then in addition to that, you can also log in as administrator to access the WebSphere Integrated Solutions console. Now in addition to that, as I said, I will cross-certify you, and then you can also access all the databases on the server directly. My plan is to make everyone administrator of the server. We just need to be a little bit careful, but I want to give developers the maximal capabilities here. And then obviously you can also open these databases in Designer, and this is the database from the sample that I built that you can use as a starting point. Now in addition to that, there are some more tools to access the image. First of all, there's a tool called Putty. Putty is a tool that allows you to invoke commands directly from your desktop. Commands, for example, to restart servers or to deploy iWidgets. And all you need to do here is to enter an IP address as well as a token key, a token that I will send you. And then I can say open, and I can log in now. And now I'm logged into that server and I can invoke my commands directly from here. Another very useful tool is called Winscp. Again, you need to define the URL as well as the key. and then I can say login, define my username again and password. And what this tool will allow me to do is to easily copy files between my local desktop here, my local machine, and the image, which is quite useful if, for example, you want to copy jar files or other resources like style sheets or themes, etc. And this is here my local machine, and this is the image. And then last but not least, there's also a Vnc service installed on the image that you can access using a Vnc Viewer. The Vnc Viewer now allows me to access the desktop of the image remotely. Here it is. Let me just resize it. And the desktop contains a couple of links here, again, to help you to get started as easily as possible. So there's Firefox with some key resources bookmarked here. And there's also a File Explorer link where, again, you have some bookmarks here, bookmarks in this case to directories. Here, for example, is the directory where you can put your customization of the look and feel, the UI, so in other words your custom styles. And I've also used that same mechanism here to deploy my widget XML. I put it in the file system here rather than in the notes database so that I can change it directly, and every change is directly visible to the connections runtime, which is really just more efficient for me for the development process. And then in order to actually deploy this widget XML, you have to invoke a couple of commands that I put in here in this README file. So you can now go down here and copy and paste these things, for example. So this is the directory, first of all, you need to go in. Then you can launch the terminal, and then you can copy these commands. And this then finally, when you run through all of these commands, this allows you to no, I need to go back to the file server, file browser. This allows you to finally modify this widgets-config XML file using a text editor. And here, for example, is where I put a link to my own custom widget to the news XML. So I think this is essentially it. You can also use that same terminal window here to restart the server and also to change access rights to some files or directories, which might be necessary since you're logged in here as a user called IDC user and not as root. So if you need to get access, you can use the sudo command, for example, to assign yourself or other users or groups access to these resources. So this was a quick demonstration of the image. Just one last comment. We only have one instance of this image, which means that developers need to share it. I think for most scenarios that's okay. Everyone can create his own databases, and there's also no problem, obviously, when you access the image via web browser. However, whenever you need access to the file system or whenever you need to restart servers, we need to coordinate that, and I will document separately how I would like to do that. So again, if you're interested to use this image, just send me an email and I will get back to you. Thanks a lot.